Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. This is Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, and in this episode, we're going to start to get down to business. It is time to start actually playing the game. Enough talking about commands and controls and all that. We'll try to do the rest as we push through here. So, we are still in the evacuation shelter, and I have shown a couple of basic fundamentals of how to look in things and whatnot. But what we need to do now is start kind of collecting goods and figuring out what we need to move forward. We had not opened this door and I just opened it. I'm going to need to turn on my flashlight so I can see a little better. And we're going to come down here. What do we have in here? We have some water. We do have like an emergency jacket, some blankets, things like that, protein bars. Nothing I need to actually grab right this second, but it's good to know that these things are there. If you did not choose a lumberjack, you may want to take the emergency jacket. The lumberjack comes with I forgot what it is. He's got a flannel jacket on. His flannel jacket has space in it. It can hold a couple of items. The emergency jacket has that ability as well. So that's just something to consider. Let's look in that bottom locker. I'm basically mostly looking for batteries right now. I don't see any more batteries. Thought I would gather as many of those as I can. Okay, so we'll move on here. We're going to go downstairs. Now, both of these stairs go down, which I'm not sure if there's a really good way to tell the difference. In order to go up and downstairs, you use the greater than and less than sign. Greater than sends you down. Less than sends you up. I'm going to go ahead and go down, and we're in a small room here with a door. Now I have the flashlight on. Usually when you go to the basement, if you don't have the flashlight on, you will have to turn it on. We had already turned it on when we went into that room though, and depending on the room you're facing, it could look a little different. Okay, this is a pretty big room and not a lot in here. Now, most of the time what these evacuation shelters will have down here are bathrooms. There's usually not a whole lot of other stuff, but you do find a few useful things in the bathrooms. Yeah, I'm just real quick going along, making sure there's nothing sitting on any of these benches. I don't see anything. Okay, so here we have like a plunger, I think. Yep, there's a professional plunger, toilet plunger, toilet paper, bleach. Bleach is important. We're going to want to know that that's here, but we can leave the rest of it alone for now. There's also soap. Soap becomes important as well, it looks like. We're going to go in through the door, and what we have here looks like a sink or two that has some stuff and a trash can with stuff. So let's see what we've got there. There's a flyer in the trash can. Now my gut tells me the flyer isn't going to tell us anything important, but we'll go ahead and grab it. See what else we've got down here. Evacuation pamphlets. I'm going to go ahead and grab those for now and show you what's in them. My experience has been they're not useful just yet. I'm assuming maybe you can use them for kindling or something like that. Here's something we do want, and that is a first aid kit. Now, it says that I don't have anywhere to hold it though, and I'm assuming that's because my lumberjack has his hands full and he doesn't have space in a pocket or anything right now, which surprises me a little bit. I did notice this when I kind of was playing with him the first time. That's right, he does not have a backpack of any sort. So he is really limited on his carrying capacity. So we're going to want to come back for that in a bit. What I probably will do is go upstairs, put the axe down, come back and pick that up. There's also toilets, and we can sometimes find, well, what you do with the toilets is you smash them. So you hit S and you go in that direction, and then when we look, we find ceramic and wax. There's also dirty water. You don't want to collect dirty water just yet. So let's go ahead and check the other one just to make sure there's nothing blatantly obvious that we would want. I don't know what that is. A food person mask. That's interesting. Now, one thing I'll say is you'll see it says does not fit in any pocket. We can wear things that are wearable like hats, gloves, shoes. Instead of picking them up, we can hit so Shift W, capital W, to wear it. And if we do that, it immediately puts it on us and we go from there. If we look at our inventory now, we should be wearing a food person mask. 0 of 500. I don't honestly know what that means, unless maybe it takes a charge. No. Well, maybe it does. It's showing up over there. So not entirely sure what that should be doing for us. We'll just wear it for now so that we can get it out of the basement and upstairs. You'll also notice this big parenthesis here now. This is a graphic, and it means something. I don't know exactly what it means right now. If we hit G in that direction, it's a folded cardboard box. Okay, so there's a cardboard box inside the trash can, and that's what this symbol represents. The tile set apparently doesn't have anything for it, so it's using this is effectively what I think is happening here. So we're going to go ahead and leave that alone. And I don't think there's really anything else for us to see or grab here right this second. I didn't look at that one. No. So we saw that there was a first aid kit that we're going to want to come back for, and we'll do that here in a second. Really not a lot down here. Sometimes these basements will have an extra closet that has a few utility shelves. Little disappointing that this one doesn't. We will go back up. And I'm just going to come out here, and we're going to make this our area right here. This is where we're going to put our stuff. Best I can tell, Lauren will leave our stuff alone. We don't have to worry about that. And what I'm going to do is go to inventory, and I'm going to drop things that I don't want. So, okay, it's not, that's not what I want. I want wheeled. No, I'm sorry, I want drop. D to drop. D allows you to drop multiple items, and you mark them just like you would anything else. We do not want to drop the flashlight. We do want to drop the wood axe for now, and that's it. So we'll hit enter. Now we can see that the axe is on the floor. Real quick, I have that flyer. While I have it, I'm going to hit Shift R, so capital R, and I have nothing to read. So under inventory, it shows up as a book, but it's kind of useless. I can't really do anything with it. So that is something I'm going to drop as well. This time I'm going to hit enter from inventory, just a little bit easier, and I've dropped that on the floor. So real quick, we want to go get that. There's some stuff on the counter here we're going to want to check out too. But we're going to want to get the first aid kit. There's a reason for that. Oh, I meant to take off the food mask too, since first of all, I don't know what it does, and second of all, I'm not sure I need it. First aid kit. So what we can do is hit W to wield it, and that'll allow us to carry it around. So if we look at our wield now, it says weapon held is a first aid kit. That's a little counterintuitive, isn't it? But it is what it is. Okay, the best option for us right now is to go back upstairs and find a spot to put the first aid kit. I want to look at the first aid kit here real quick though. So we're going to go to inventory, and can we get over there? Can't. Oh yeah, right arrow. Left arrow, I'm sorry. This is something that's a little weird to me. I don't think this is a key binding thing that I messed up. I have to hit left arrow in order to bounce between these columns. I keep forgetting that because I want to do it with right arrow, and that's simply not correct. It is possible I accidentally messed with something and forgot about it when I first got the game, but I'll take a look at that and see if that's something I should fix. When we want to look at the first aid kit, we simply hit enter on it, and you'll notice it shows us what is in the first aid kit. In pocket 1, it has adhesive bandages, it has medical gauze, it has an instruction booklet, it has bandages, it has painkillers in the form of aspirin, it has antiseptic. Here are the important things. It has tape and scissors. That's extremely important. The scissors are important because they allow you to cut stuff. And we need tools that do things for us. We need to get a hammer of some sort. We need to get a crowbar, something that can pry things. And we do need stuff that can cut. Now, scissors can't do incredible cutting, but they can do a lot of cutting that we're going to need done. We're going to need to get something a little better than scissors eventually. But for now, that will work for us. And since I'm having trouble carrying stuff around, I'm going to open the crafting menu, and that is the ampersand sign, or Shift 7. This is our crafting menu, and I have no favorites selected yet, and I haven't done anything, so recent should have nothing in it. In fact, I can't even get to recent. The only thing I can get to is nested. Nested sort of shows us all the stuff that's available to us to craft, kind of. I've found that you do need to go through the different tabs to make sure that everything is showing up. And you'll notice that nested did not show us a plastic fish trap. Not that I want to make that right now, but it wasn't there. So that's kind of important to note. We're going to want to make some tools as soon as we can. Specifically, we want a hammer and we want a crowbar. Those are important. We have an axe, right? So we can chop things like trees and that. And that's important too. But we do need to get a few other tools started so that we have the ability to start building bigger and making ourselves a little more capable. Real quick, I want to look and see what these things are on the counters. That is 20 protein bars, so that's important. Here we have some ammonia and some bleach. Are those all of our counters? This is a really, really sparse evacuation center. A lot of times they have a ton of stuff. Okay, there's a little more. 21 more food wrappers. Okay, that's helpful. And then this is going to be water, I think. Yeah, 12 bottles of water. All right, well, that's a start. That's not an incredibly, that's not a boon. We'll leave it at that. Some of the evacuation shelters have 50 bottles of water sitting around and more food than you could use in a couple of weeks of survival and whatnot. But we'll catch up with that. The first aid kit had, yes, the one thing I want to do is I'm going to go to read again. And you'll notice that since I looked in the first aid kit, or since I'm holding it, there is now a manual called First Aid Kit Instruction Booklet. And if I go to read, which is Shift R, capital R, I can read that. Now, the first time I read it, it tells me that I can, down here, can bring your healthcare knowledge to 1. Read this book affects your morale by 1. A chapter of this book takes 8 minutes to read. This book can help you practice bandaging. Advanced bandaging. That's all good to see. What I'm going to do is hit Shift R a second time, and I'm going to tell it I want to read the book. And it's going to say, do you want to read it once, or do you want to read it until you gain a level in the ability? But I'm already at level 1, so I don't think I can select that. In fact, it's showing me I can't select it. It's not highlightable. Hitting 1 doesn't fix it or grab it for me. So I'm just going to read it once. That's going to take 8 minutes, so we should see 8 minutes tick off here. I do not know what this icon means. I have been trying to figure out what some of these are, and they don't really make sense to me just yet. As I learn those, I'll point them out, but right now I don't know what it is. It says that I have finished reading. That icon will follow me around, by the way. So that's why I'm not sure. And it moves in the direction that I'm going. So, and it's gone now. So whatever it was, it went away. Maybe need to pay attention to what's happening up here when I see that next time. Long story short, I read that pamphlet. I don't really need it anymore. So one thing I could do is go in and find it. I need to turn off my flashlight. I don't want to waste the battery. Go in and find it. Go into the first aid kit. Enter to do that. And then I'm going to say open. And that shows me the things that are in it. And I'm going to go find the first aid kit manual, and I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to hit drop. And now if I move out of the way, we should see that on the floor there. First aid kit instruction booklet. Now my assumption is I can tear that up and make it into paper, probably, if I want to. We might do that in a little bit. Not going to spend the time doing that just yet. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go outside, and we're going to find one of the world's most useful tools if we can. Hopefully there will be something nearby that I'm looking for. This is road, by the way. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we have a little bit broader view. These are dashes in the road, right? The center line. But this is asphalt. We can walk along. So I'm seeing that icon again, and I'm wondering if I can figure out what it stands for, and I'm not seeing it just yet. So we'll figure that out. And here we go. One of the world's most reliable tools right here. We're going to hit G, and we are going to pick up a rock. You might be saying, what is a rock going to do for us? Well, if we look at our inventory and we go to the rock it went into the first aid kit. Probably because we were holding it. If we go into the first aid kit, we probably, yep, there at the bottom here, we see rock. All right, so I'm going to open the first aid kit, and I'm going to get the rock, and I'm going to wield the rock. So now, it still says weapon held. Let's see if we can just change it to wield. I don't know how to get the rock out of there. Okay, inventory, first aid kit, open. Find the rock. We're going to drop the rock this time. Drop it. Okay, so it's there on the ground. Now I'm going to go to wield, and I'm going to say stop wielding the first aid kit. I have to drop it to do that, and then we're going to get the rock. And then can we get this at the same as well? I don't have enough hands to do both. So interesting. For the sake of brevity, we're going to drop the rock again. And we will pick up the first aid kit, which we have to wield, and then we will grab the rock, which it will then put into the first aid kit for us. And we're going to go home and put down the first aid kit, but not until after we get the rock out. Sorry, that's a little confusing, but so I think what happens is when you're wielding something that's a container, it will just automatically put things in the container for you. The lumberjack is a bad choice to start because he has no pockets. That's really what our big problem is here. All right, so I'm going to go to inventory. I'm going to go to first aid. At least we're learning how to manipulate inventory a little bit, which is a little confusing in this game. So I hit enter on first aid, and then I'm going to open, and I'm going to go to rock, and I'm going to hit enter on rock, and I'm going to drop the silly rock. Okay, then I'm going to put the first aid kit down on this table here. I'm going to hit drop. I accidentally hit flashlight. I don't want to do that. So first aid kit, drop. And now if I move off the table, there's the first aid kit, and here's the rock. Okay, so now we're going to pick up the rock. Now I have a rock. Okay, the whole thing about getting the rock. Why is the rock such an important tool? Well, if we look at the rock, what we will see is one of its qualities, in fact, its only quality, is it is a level 1 hammer. We need a hammer in order to make some other things that we need to make. Specifically, if we come out here and look at tools, in order to make a makeshift hammer, we need a tool with a hammering of 1 or more. Okay, well, we now have that. That's great. We don't have a plank or a stick. We don't have a chunk of steel. We're going to find some of this stuff here really soon. But the tool that we need is the hammer, a level 1 hammer. And then a makeshift hammer, if you look at it over here, it is a level 2 hammer. So we improve the hammer from just being a rock to being a makeshift hammer. This is how you go about making tools, and this is how you go about learning what you need to make something. So again, let's back out of that. We're going to go into crafting, which is the ampersand. That takes us here, and then I went over to other, and then I used the arrow keys to go to tools right here. So that gives us this list. I can click on these as well. You'll notice in order to create a makeshift crowbar, I need a tool with hammering 1 or more. I also need a pipe. We're going to find a way to get a pipe here in a minute. But to once I have the crowbar, it has a quality of hammering 1. It also has a prying quality. So this is what our goal is to get tools that allow us to do various actions. We need that in order to build more complex things and machines and whatnot. So a couple of the other things it asked for was like a plank. How do we get a plank? Well, I'm going to grab my, I'm going to drop the rock, if I can. It's got to go here to drop the rock. Okay, I've dropped the rock. I'm going to get the axe, wood axe, and I want to wield the wood axe. So I do that. Real quick, I'm going to look at the wood axe because I want to see what its qualities are. And if you look, it has a 3 quality for tree cutting. It is not very good at butchering, but it can do it. And it has a level 1 cutting quality. Now our scissors have cutting as well, so we really didn't need the scissors as long as we had the axe. So the scissors from the first aid kit, if you're a lumberjack, aren't entirely necessary, at least not initially. But now that I have the axe, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to smash this table. And what that gets me is planks. And planks are important because planks can be made into other tools. Specifically, it can be made into weapons like a wooden club or a large wooden club. A really good one to get, although I'm not seeing it listed here, it must be under maces. It's not under mace. I don't know where it is. There's a cudgel you can make. I think that's how you say it. So let's go ahead and make something here. We're going to make a wooden club. The wooden club has a bash of 12, and it gives us some other stats for damage per second, and there's stats on how long it takes to use it, things like that. These are all things you kind of have to learn intuitively. I don't think we're going to go through each one of those line by line. But to make it, we have to have a tool with cutting of 1 or more. That would be an axe. And we have to have a plank. So you can make the wooden club with scissors because it has a cutting of 1. And that's important to know. So we have made we're starting to make our wooden club. This is a little confusing to me. What do you do with the in-progress wooden club? So it's saying, how do you want to deal with this? Do you want to dispose of your wooden axe and start working? That's what we're going to end up doing. Do you want to put it down and start working? I guess we could do that too, although I think when you put it down, it stays at 0%. It doesn't actually make it. It just sets it up for you to be ready to make it. Or do we want to drop it on the ground? We're going to dispose of the axe for now. And then stop wielding the wooden axe. What do we want to do with it? We're going to store it in the inventory. I will come back to that in a minute. How can we store an axe and we can't carry a first aid kit? I will show you in just a second. But we're going to store it in inventory. And now, if we look at our inventory, we have a wooden club that we're holding. And that is our current weapon. Now, I think the axe is a better weapon, but it gives us some options. So how did I store that in my inventory? I completely forgot about this, but he has a holster for the axe that he's wearing, right, in his clothing. And because of that, I'm hitting all the wrong keys here. Because of that, this is something that he's worn. His axe actually can be put in this effectively. So it's like just a slot for his axe on his belt. I forgot about that. That would have freed up some space for us earlier. We could have carried the axe around with us. This does give us the ability to move around without holding a weapon and having one handy if we need it. And so that's kind of important to know. I had also talked about getting rid of this, and we're going to do that right now. I am littering all over the floor here, and for now I think that's okay. Eventually I'm going to want to clean everything up and stack it all nicely and put it in good places for us to use. All right, one more thing I want to cover in this episode before we call it quits. We're going to go and see if we can find any plants. Now, I'm a little colorblind. Most of you might know that by now. I can't always tell which ones are which, but some of the plants are interactable with the E key, like dandelions, and you can pick them. I think that's going to be, oh, that's a page of a newspaper. I'm going to skip that. Shell casings. These are important. I'm going to pick that up. It is flaking rock. We can make some other stuff out of that, so we're going to pick that up. Haven't shown you how to read the map yet. We will cover that eventually, but just not right now. I'm going to pick another dandelion, and that one isn't one you can pick. I don't have the tools to dig it up, but do I want to pick it? Yes. Okay, we're going to pick a few more of these. The reason we're doing this is we need to make some cords, and we can make cords out of plants. That doesn't seem to be something we can pick up, and I'm going to leave the rocks for now, and then I also want to see if I can find our home. Did I pass it already? All right, so real quick, I talked briefly about safe mode. I'm not going to go into real deep discussion about it right now, but this message down here, spotted moose 60 tiles to the north, safe mode is on. Anytime you spot something that is an adversary, be it a monster, a zombie, anything that might potentially kill you, dogs, whatnot, not all dogs, just the ones that might kill you, the game will stop. And trying to move, nothing happens. time is not advancing. I'm hitting keys to try to move. I have to make a decision. I can either turn off safe mode. This is what safe mode is. It's basically, there's something that could kill you, so you better stop. I can ignore the monster by hitting the single quote, apostrophe, I guess is what we call that. And that's what I just did. And that frees me up. I can continue to move. It seems to have a timer. It will basically monitor where that monster is for a period of time, and then it will start to fire again when it sees it. It will also continue to fire if it sees new monsters, and that's important as well. A moose probably would kill us. I'm going to look at our map here real quick. Yeah, I misjudged the direction I had gone. Very easy to get lost here in the wild. So do pay attention to where you're going. There we go. There's where we started. So we're going to come in here. We're going to shut the door. And then finally, I'm going to make some cordage, I think, if it will let me. It will. So I went to nested, and we're going to go to short cordage piece. Now I picked up a few plants. I have 2 basically, so I can make 2 pieces of cord is what it's telling me if you look here. I'm going to hit the B for batch down here, and what that's going to let me do is select how many I want to make at once. I only have enough to make 2, so I'm going to make 2. I'm not sure if there's a way to prematurely wither plants. I'm assuming these are the dandelions that I picked, but I'm not sure. I thought I picked more than 2, but nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and do that. What do you want to do this? I'm going to drop the wooden club. You'll notice the timer up there. It went really, really quick, but there was a timer up there briefly that showed the time passing as it made the 2 cords. We look here. I'm sorry, I dropped them on the floor, didn't I? Yeah, there they are. So we'll pick that up, and we will wield the club. We will store the additional cordage. There we go. Now we look at our inventory. We have 2 pieces of cordage, short. I do have a couple of dandelions. So some of the other flowers we picked up apparently were the withered type that we were able to turn into cordage. Cordage, planks, and a few other things. Pipes will all become very important as we move forward to make some of the more advanced tools that we need. And we will take a closer look at those in the next video. I appreciate you watching. I hope you're learning something and enjoying the game. Until next time, fair travels.